Welcome one and all to the online learning platform at Department of Civil Engineering, BMS Institute of Technology and Management, Bangalore. I am Dr. Rajesh Gopinath and you are along with me for the course Water Supply and Treatment Engineering, popularly also called as Public Health Engineering. As you can see in slide 5, in the last session we had discussed about the various types of water sources for a water supply scheme. In today's presentation, we shall discuss about intake structures as can be seen in slide 6. Slide 7. Today's presentation will be dealt in the following manner. First, I'll introduce you to the concept of an intake structure. I shall explain to you the objective. Then we shall discuss about what are the different factors and criteria while we choose a site for having an intake structure. Then we shall move on to the different types. Okay. Then finally we shall be summarizing it and I shall be listing the references for your kind perusal. Slide 8. Now here you can see a typical representation of a water treatment plant, which is a critical component of your water supply scheme. As we have discussed before, water supply scheme starts with a source of drinking water. It moves on to a water treatment facility, then a distribution facility before it reaches the consumers. Now, from the source of drinking water, that is a fresh water, say for instance a river or a lake, to a water treatment plant, there is a critical component and the same component is considered as or called as intake structures. It is curious, right? How does water reach a treatment plant? Now let us understand this better by slide 9. So here you can see that there is a water treatment facility which exists on land and the water exists beyond the island. So water is being facilitated or withdrawn or removed or transported from the water body to the treatment facility. This critical connecting link is the intake structure itself. Slide 10. So what is the purpose? Simple. It is a structure which is placed in a surface water source that permits removal of water from the source. This source can be a canal, lake, reservoir or a river where there is sufficient water availability. But we need to also note that these structures should ensure smooth entry of water into the conveyor system, should not be allowing any trash or sediments to enter the conveyor system, and should be constructed by facilitating minimum hydraulic losses. Okay, let us understand the concept of the purpose of an intake structure better. That is, I am trying to explain to you how the intake design is important for a water treatment. Let us look at slide 11. So here you can see the source of water, that is Kaveri River, Shiva Aniket. Okay, that's on your top left hand side. From here the water is transported. You can see in the image on the top right hand corner, we are talking about the intake gate at Shiva Aniket. Okay, so water is being facilitated with the help of these gates and it eventually moves on to your water treatment plant, which can be seen in the images below. So if there is minimal hydraulic losses, if your intake doesn't permit sediments and trashes and floating matter, there would obviously be lesser stress on the water treatment facility, which speaks about improving the efficiency of sedimentation, coagulation, flocculation, filtration and so forth. So intake structure is not merely just to facilitate removal of water, but also clean, relatively sediment free, suspended solid free, settlable solid free, floating material free water. Let us now go on to slide 12 to understand what are the factors which needs to be considered if you are talking about selecting a site for intake structures. Now, when you speak about a site, it is imperative and obvious that this site should be so selected that it can admit water even during drought or worst condition of flow. Generally, it is preferred that the intake should be sufficiently below shoreline. Please note the site should be very close to treatment plant itself to eliminate or avoid transportation charges or any other cost aspects. Yes, the intake structure should be located in a manner that it is free from pollution. So better to locate it upstream of a city and not downstream, because sewage is disposed downstream most often. Also, your intake structure should not be located in a manner where it interferes with river traffic or navigation channel, because mostly those channels are bound to be polluted and contaminated. Yes, it should be located in a manner wherein good foundation conditions can be provided. Definitely, yes, it should admit relatively pure water, as I said before. So, better to ensure it is not constructed around a turn or a corner, which means it has to be protected from rapid currents. Yes, by doing so, if intake structures will provide clean water, then the load on the treatment plant will be lesser. Now, intake structures should also be well connected with roads, and yes, if required, it should be in a position to provide more water and so forth. Let us now move on to slide 13 to understand the different types of intake structures. The classification is in three manners. The first one is based on the relative positioning of the intake structure with respect to water line, so submerged or exposed. Second is based on the mode of removal of water, that is wet intake, dry intake. Third is most obvious, depending on the source from which the water is removed: reservoir intake, lake intake, canal intake and river intake. Let us now understand each one of these in a better manner. Let us now go to slide 14. Slide 14 shows you a submerged intake. Yes, it is very obvious when you look at the images on your left hand and right hand side. It shows you, it is describing to you the various water levels. Obviously, depending on the level of water, these structures would get exposed or submerged. But for normal circumstances, these structures have been built in a manner that they are constructed entirely underwater, and this is most often for a source from a lake or a reservoir upstream. Okay, as you can see on the image right hand side, the intakes have been exposed during the lean period or dry period, or when the water level is at its lowest. Let's move on to slide 15 to understand what is the exposed intake. Please note, in slide 14, though your intake structures were exposed when the water level is at the lowest, they are still not called as exposed intake, because those facilities, those structures were actually built in the water itself, which means depending on the level of water, they would be partially or completely submerged. So with this understanding, slide 15 shows you a tower. Okay, that is, exposed intakes are most often in the form of tall towers, which is constructed usually near bank of a river, or most probably away from the river banks itself. These are most common due to ease in operation. It is obvious because they are outside the water itself. So when it comes to operation and maintenance, these would cause lesser pain or stress on the system economically or with respect to manpower. Let us move on to the next classification, that is dry intake and wet intake. Let us look at slide 16. This is a photograph of a typical dry intake. So what is a dry intake? Here the water will not, here there is no water in the water tower. Basically, the water will enter through entry port directly into the conveying pipes. Hence, it is termed as dry intake. Let us understand this better. Let's look at slide 17. So in this schematic, you can see how the water enters from the source into the structure, and it is directly moving into the water withdrawal conduit, that is the conveyor system. So if this is called as a dry intake, what would a wet intake be? Let us look at slide 18. This is a typical representation of a wet intake. Yes, This also can be called as a submerged intake, because depending on the water, the intake structure would be submerged at various levels. So in a wet intake, okay, the water level is practically the same as the level of source of supply. It is most commonly like a jack well. Let's understand this better. Look at slide 19. So you can see a schematic. It clearly shows that there is water available throughout the structure. That means your intake structure itself houses the water. Unlike the dry intake wherein the water was permitted directly into the conveyor system, okay, here it is housing the water and then it is moving to the water withdrawal conduit. Now let us move on to the next classification, that is based on the sources. Slide 20. In this slide, you can see a true photographic representation of a canal intake. By having a simple glimpse of this image would give everyone an idea of what a canal is, how it looks like, and what it is made up of. Basically, if in case there is an irrigation canal which is passing through a town or near a town, then this itself can become a potential source of water supply to the town in itself. Okay, now let us understand something more about the features of a canal intake. Let us move to the next slide, which is slide number 21. So as you can see here, basically it's a masonry or a concrete chamber which is rectangular in shape. Now two important features that you need to understand is the provision of screens, coarse screen and a fine screen. The ideology of installing a screen is to ensure that no floating matter or impurities enter the chamber. So initially the coarse screen will take care of the impurities which are greater in size, or say for instance the floating matter itself. Further, on the bell mouth inlet there is a hemispherical screen which is basically a finer screen, which also will further reduce or hamper the entry of any impurity which can later impair the pumps or pipes in a water treatment plant. Okay, now let us move on to the next slide, slide number 22. A beautiful image, you are looking at a river intake. Okay, so obviously when a river is a source of drinking water, then you call it as a river intake. Generally, river intakes are located sufficiently inside the river. Okay, that is, it may also be located near the river bank wherever a sufficient depth of water is available. But please understand that, we need to ensure that the water is available throughout the year. So obviously the provision of installing a river intake is for rivers which are perennial in nature and not seasonal in nature. As you know, some of the rivers could be seasonal, that is met by precipitation, or for instance some other rivers flow throughout the year, say melting of ice caps or the snow or the glaciers in the Himalayas. Okay, so having understood this, now let us try to have a better understanding of the schematics of a river intake. Let us now move on to slide 23. So as you can see here, there will be an approach channel construction, okay, which assists the water to be led to the intake tower. Okay, please note that if in case the water level in the river is low, then a weir may also be constructed which can raise the water level and divert it into the intake tower. A closer observation of this schematic will also show you the provision of screens. As you can see that there are screens which have been attached to the intake structure, which serves a function as a core screen, that is to prevent any floating matter from entering it. Once the water is inside your intake tower, you can see one more screen which behaves as a strainer or as a fine screen, which doesn't allow any fine particles such as sand, silt or so to enter the water works. So you can also see the provision of a pump here. All right. Now let us move on to the next type of intake structure, that is the reservoir intake structure. Let's look at slide 24. Again a beautiful representation of an intake structure. Now as the title says, reservoir intake, it means here the source of drinking water is a reservoir structure, which means we are talking about the construction of a dam which results in the formation of a reservoir and facilitates storage of water upstream. Please note that reservoir intakes are quite similar to river intakes, except that in this case the intake structure is located near the upstream face of the dam, wherein maximum depth of water is available. Yes, of course, the design of an intake may vary based on the type of dam. Having said all this, please note that we are again talking about a potential source and availability of water throughout the year. Let us have some better information and understanding of reservoir intake by moving to slide 25. In this slide, you can see two generic types of reservoir intake. Of course, both of them represent dams. Okay, you have water on the upstream side. There are conduits which are connected inside the dam, which leads the water to the water works or the water treatment plant. You have also valves in both the structures. You also find a bell mouth entry. Okay, you also observe screens, that is fine screens as discussed, to prevent any impurities from entering your intake structure. Now what is the difference between these two images? If you observe very carefully, the image on the left hand side, here the water will enter directly from the source via the bell mouth entry into the sump or the intake tower inside the dam, and from here this water moves through the withdrawal conduit. Okay, so you may call this also as an intake well, that is the dam, or sorry, the portion of dam which is actually allowing water to be stored momentarily, okay, and eventually allows it to pass through into the water treatment works. Now if you look at the image on the right hand side, it also receives water through the bell mouth entry, but this dam does not have an intake well, that is it does not store water inside it. Okay, so you may consider it as a type of dry intake, while the image on the left hand side is a kind of wet intake. Okay, so in this image on the right hand side, the water enters via the bell mouth, which has a fine screen attached, into pipes. Okay, and then from these pipes it goes to the conduit which leads water to the water works. Now let us move on to the next slide, that is slide number 26, wherein we have a beautiful representation of a lake intake. So in the case of a lake intake, it is obvious that the source of drinking water is a lake itself. Please note that lakes are seasonal in nature. They depend on precipitation for source of drinking for water, and also lakes are fed by subsurface flows. Obviously, hence when you are talking about a potential lake as a source for a lake intake, then it is understood that these lakes must be able to support and have water throughout the year. Also, we are talking about lakes which are basically fresh water. Please note, there are lakes across the globe which may also have salinity content. Hence, those lakes are excluded, such as the Chilka Lake. So here in slide 26, you are observing or you are witness to a beautiful lake, a landscape, and the intake structure. Mostly the lake intake structures are submerged intakes, and therefore with this representation I will not be able to explain to you how it functions since there is water level available in the lake. So in order to understand better, let us move on to the next slide, 27. So as you can see in this schematics, unlike the other intake structures, there is a distinct difference. Okay, the entire structure is below the water. It is housed on the lake bed. Okay, you can see that the construction contains rocks, okay, concrete masonry, and probably the heavy timber work in case if you are talking about cribs. Now, the conduit which receives the water, these basically may again have a bell mouth entry, and yes, it also will contain strainers, that is it could be a mesh grating, okay, which would prevent any impurity from entering the inlet pipe, and once the water enters the inlet pipe, it is led to a water treatment plant. So obviously this kind of structure will help as long as the water level is above the level of the mesh grating. Once the water level comes below that, then this entire structure will be exposed and will not be functional. With this basic information about the classification of intake structures, the types of intake structures, selection criteria for location of an intake structure, now let us move on towards the end of the presentation, wherein let us try to have some brief glimpse of design criteria for intake structure. Slide 28. Let us try to have an understanding of the different criterias which needs to be looked into, thought of, well planned before we plan the construction of an intake structure. Please note that design period is always an important concern, and most of the waterworks, the design period is more than or at least 15 to 30 years. Okay, so what are the different criterias or concerns for us? Primarily, we have to make sure that the intake should be sufficiently heavy. Yes, obvious, because it should not start floating if there is a sudden upthrust of water or sudden rise in water level, or if the water becomes highly turbulent due to heavy rainfall or in the event of a flood. Okay, obviously a heavy intake will not be washed away due to strong water currents. Okay, further we need to take into account all the forces which are expected to work on the intake structure. A careful analysis of all these forces must be done to understand their implication, and consequently the intake structure which is built should be able to withstand all these forces. Okay, now the foundation of your intake structure should be sufficiently deep. Yes, this is obvious, because if not, then there are chances of the structure tiptoeing or overturning. Okay, moving further, we should always remember, and this has been also told to you in site selection criteria, that intake structures shall never be constructed in a navigation channel, but if it has to be constructed, then it should be protected by cluster of piles all around from the forces which is created due to the movement of ships, because it is understood that with heavy ships moving in the water, additional forces, additional currents will be created. Okay, now moving further, it is important that there is provision of strainers, screens, as we have understood in the type of intake structures with respect to sources. I had explained to you the provision of coarse screen, fine screen, the strainers and the mesh grating. Okay, these should be provided on all the inlets of the intake structure. It is mandatory so that they can avoid the entry of large floating objects, or for that matter fishes as well. Okay. Now, intake structures should be of such a size and strategically located so that sufficient quantity of water can be obtained from the intake under all circumstances. Okay. As a matter of fact, we are aware that we should ensure that these structures are not located at turns, so that they are not exposed to rapid currents. Okay. The entering velocity in a conduit, that is your inlet pipe, okay, should not exceed 0.15 meters per second. Okay. This also facilitates, okay, by avoiding small fishes intrusion. All right. Okay. Now let us move on to the summary of this presentation. So what have we learned till now? As you can see in slide 29, intake structures are built to withdraw water from an array of sources which could be canals, lakes, rivers or reservoirs. Now their classification can be submerged, exposed, dry, wet and so forth. In this presentation, you also have an idea of how to decide sites for construction of intake structures. Also, you have glimpses of what all design criteria have to be incorporated, thought of when you are constructing an intake structure. Having said all this, we are all aware that the bottom line remains that the water which is being drawn, okay, has two dimensions, two attributes, two facets which an intake structure should facilitate: quality and quantity. My dear friends, we are done with the presentation with intake structures. Slide 30 depicts the different references that I have looked into for drafting this presentation. Kindly go through this for enhancing your knowledge. This is Rajesh Gopinath, and I am signing out with the information that in the next class, as seen in slide 31, we shall be discussing aeration. Take care. Godspeed.